Reggie, Paul calls Euodia and Syntyche to agree with each other in the Lord in his epistle. Is this a form of public rebuke and exhortation, where he calls them to agree with each other? Is it like, it seems like it's a form of church discipline? Is this an example for us in today's church? Should we be calling people out in public like this and in writing?
It's a good question, Wes, and I think it's important to get clear on the relational reality out of which this comes. These are people who know each other. You're talking about a time when the church meets. They meet in houses, in homes, where everybody knows each other, which means that conflict affects everybody. But it also means that when I call your name, I'm not calling your name out in front of people that don't know you. And so we have to appreciate the scale that's at stake, that's involved here. It's a small scale. We have to appreciate the fact that the church here is not like some impersonal gathering where if I call you out, I'm calling you out in front of people who don't know you, and I'm shaming you in that sort of fashion, and just the whole relational bond that you have to assume that is there between Paul and these ladies, because he refers to them as those who have struggled mightily along with me and with Clement. And the fact that then he refers in a way that's really unusual in his letters. He speaks specifically to a particular person and says, I want you to help them out. And we don't know. He says this is a genuine yoke fellow, a Suzuka, and we don't know if that may be somebody's name, or it may be a particular person who is in a position to really help them out. So, and I think that what we can assume is that Paul does this because he knows that he's seeking to lubricate the relationship rather than make it more difficult. Now, in lots of church settings, that would not be the effect. If you're in a church of 500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, and you start calling people out, I think you're getting into manipulative shame. And the kind of things that you would want to say, you are going to be far more effectively said in private.
So this is more like, say, applicable to like a small group meeting or some sort of home group type thing rather than...
where there's a relationship and where I might say, Graham, I really wish that you and Wes would work this thing out. It's holding our group back. We can't really go any further, and you know that until there's real reconciliation here.
Is there any particular reason why Paul put it here in the letter, or is it just he's kind of finished one argument and then he's moving on to something else?
I hadn't really thought about that, Graham, but it is the place where he has said what he needs to say about Christ not looking to his own interests, but looking, to our interests. He's talked about his own struggle to know joy in the midst of false teachers who are teaching the right thing for the wrong reason. His anxiety that the church in Philippi is concerned about one of their own who's who's sick, and he's talked about how he's going to send Timothy as one who has modeled what he's talking about, who will be among them, and who he expects to bring back a good report. And he's talked in chapter 3 about his own finding his identity not in his background, but in being found in Christ and pressing on. And I think at this point he's set the stage nicely to go to these two ladies and say, look, the conflict between you, it's not just some mission that is being held up here, but the whole opportunity, the whole responsibility of the church to model who Christ is. And I know that you know that. So, in that regard, it's time to really work this out.